Good morning everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the Grey Nomad Knits. It's a Sunday morning here, and I thought I'd come to you today because John's had to go out for a few hours, and it's nice to do this when I have the house to myself with hopefully no interruptions. So for those of you who haven't seen me on here before, my name is Jill and I'm coming to you from Perth in Western Australia. You can find me on Ravelry as Jilly MG, and I'm also on Instagram as Jilly MG60, and you can find that in the notes below. So I'd like to thank you for all my viewers who keep coming back to watch me. I know I'm not that consistent, so a big thank you to you all and a big welcome to any new viewers. Our weather, oh gosh, I wish I was in the Northern Hemisphere. We're in the middle of summer here, and although it hasn't been too bad the last few weeks, we have had a couple of really horrible heat waves, and it's just not pleasant at all when you want to do your knitting, especially when you're doing blankets. But this week it's a lot milder, and hopefully we're not going to have a lot more of the 40-degree plus days. I'm talking centigrade here, Celsius. So thankfully it's not too bad. I was actually going to film outside this morning because it's quite pleasant, but I was a bit lazy and didn't want to lug everything out there. So I'm here in my normal place. I don't have my little light on this morning because I forgot to charge it. So the light is probably not as good as it could be. So I beg your forgiveness for that. Okay, let's move straight into some whips. And I left one out in the other room, so I'll just go and get that now. So the first whip I'd like to share with you today is the progress on my Battenburg blanket. And this is a pattern by Sandra Paul, who has her own podcast called the Cherry Heart Podcast. And it's actually a free pattern. I have modified it a little. I'm making the squares, I think it's 2 rounds bigger, might even be 3 rounds bigger. And I think it suits my choice of yarn better because this yarn, as you can see, has got every colour under the sun in here, and I think with the bigger squares it shows this yarn off better. So the yarn I'm using is Bendigo Woolen Mills. Now this is the Bloom in Mahogany, which you cannot get anymore, it's discontinued, and this is my last ball that I have left. I have finished all my squares in this, but depending on how I go with my contrast colour I may add some more. We'll see what it's like when I've finished up all the raffia colour. This is the raffia colour, also from Bendigo Woolen Mills. This one is the classic. Here in Australia we call it an 8-ply, but it's a DK weight. Okay, so let me show you the progress. It's coming on really, really well, and I'm not going to get it all in, so I'm going to take some photos of it to show you. But it's almost a square now, so I think another 2 or 3 rows and it will be done, and then I think it gets a border on it as well. But as you can see, it's starting to look really good. So when I finish recording this podcast, I am going to take a photo and I'll insert that here. So just a little recap. I'm using a size bigger hook on this colour because although it is the same weight, sold as the same weight of yarn as this is actually thicker. So to get the squares the same size, I had to go up a hook size for these, and it turned out perfect. They're exactly the same size. And I'm just going to show you the other side so you can see how this join as you go method works. Oh, I've got an end there I haven't sewn in. I've been trying to sew in the ends as I go because I don't want to be left with a gazillion ends at the end. Ends at the end. So yeah, I'll have to sew that one in. But it looks just as nice, I think, on the wrong side as it does the right side. But it's certainly coming on, and I'm really enjoying it, and there's not much more I can say about it for now, so we're going to move on to the next one. It's probably going to be a quick episode today. You can only talk about blankets for so long. next two whips are actually new cast-ons since I last spoke to you. So the first one I want to show you is another blanket. I got this from Wool Warehouse, and this is the kit for the new blanket release from Lucy at Attic.24. So this is the Sungold blanket. It's a crochet along, which started in January. Now, I'm not intending to keep up with the crochet along because if I was just working on this, I could do that easily. But as you know, I like to have 3 projects on the go. And I don't normally have 2 blankets on the go, but I want to make this one for my dear sister-in-law over in Hobart, Pam. As you all know, I lost my brother last year, and Pam's just struggling a bit at the moment emotionally. So I want to do something to cheer her up. Now, she's coming to Perth in April. I don't think I'll have it finished by then, but I'm just so happy that I can do something for her. And it's called Sungold. I'm looking on the wrong side. It's over here. And this is what I've got so far. This is the bottom row. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stripes, and I'm onto this lavender colour now. And I'm really enjoying it. It's not a difficult pattern at all. If you're a beginner crocheter, Lucy's blanket patterns, and they're all free, and her blanket patterns are just amazing. She gives very detailed photo tutorials, so for those of you who are not that experienced at crochet, it makes it very easy to follow. I've just put the first bit of lilac in there, or lavender, sorry. I always put a stitch marker at the beginning and end of each row, so that way I know exactly where I have to poke my hook. I find if you get your hook in the right place, then you don't really go wrong. So that's the Sungold. This yarn is the Stylecraft DK, which is an acrylic yarn. Now, I don't use acrylic very often, but it does have a place. Now, Pam has got 3 little grandchildren, so if they come and nick this blanket to make cubbies with or spill an ice cream over it or something, she'll be able to just throw it in the washing machine and it will come out as good as new. So I think there is a place for acrylic, and I don't think Pam is going to care. It's also very affordable, this yarn. This whole kit, and there's a lot of balls of yarn in there. I mean, look at the size of this bag, including postage from Wool Warehouse. I think it was about $60 Australian, around about that. So I think that's excellent value, and I think Pam's going to absolutely love it. She's got a brand new creamy coloured leather lounge suite. So I think it's going to look really nice on there, and it can get pretty cold over there at night time, even in the summer, so it'll give her something that she can throw across her lap as well. So that's my Sungold blanket. It'll take me quite a while, but it's actually not too bad. It's each stripe is 2 rows, and it takes me about an hour to do 1 stripe. So I managed to get through about between 2 and 3 stripes at a time when I sit to do it. And it's like cookie cutter stuff, you know. It's easy. I can watch TV and do this, just being mindful still of my stitch count and where I'm putting my hook, but it's not a difficult pattern. So if you're a beginner crochet, I would highly recommend it. So it's Attic.24. The designer's name is Lucy, and it's on there as a free pattern. Now, my next new cast on is my black cardigan. Now, I think I said to you at the last podcast, I couldn't decide between the Yorlin by Kate Davies or the Night Out cardigan by Joji Locatelli. And I was tending towards the Night Out cardigan because I thought it would suit the superwash yarn better. But I went for the Yorlin. I know a lot of people say with Joji's designs that her bicep measurements for her sleeves. She has very thin arms, and I think a lot of her patterns reflect that, which is fine. But when I looked at the schematics for the Yorlin, first off I did a tension square, and I thought I had it here to show you, but I haven't. But I was able to work out from the schematics with the Kate Davies design that I would need to add about another inch in here. Now, let me show you the cardigan first. I cast it on Christmas night, so it's in my lovely Christmas bag. Let me just get it out for you. So this cardigan is knitted top down. Let me put it around my neck to show you. So you have this lovely, that's the raglan shaping. Then you have this lovely detail that comes down the front of the cardigan. I don't know if you can see it there very well. It almost looks like a little heart, doesn't it? This is the beautiful yarn I'm using from our local dyer, Michelle, her company is called Dyeing to Knit. Now, let me just show you. This area is the back. I'll turn it around so you can see the right side. So when I'm finished, I'm assuming I'll pick up stitches along here for the neck. Then you can see the raglan increases there. So then this section is the sleeve. And then you've got the front panel. Now, as you all know, I'm trying very hard to get the sleeve circumference right. The size, let me check my notes because I am keeping it all in my diary. I'll just take out my chart, you don't want to see that. So what I'm doing is, it's very messy. So I'm making the sixth, it's hard to say with my retainers in, sixth, you know, a 6 size in the pattern. And I worked out that the bicep measurement in the schematics was going to be about this much short of what I need for my measurement. But I didn't want to go up any more sizes in the pattern because it was going to be too big across here. So what I'm doing is adding, I worked out how many stitches, from my tension square, I worked out how many stitches extra I would need to add that extra width in. And it worked out to 17 stitches extra. So what I'm doing is, I started about 2 inches into the sleeve, and in the middle of that sleeve section, I did an increase. Then in 4 more rows, I knitted the next 3 rows as is, and then the next row after that, I added in 2 more increases. So every 4th row, I'm adding in 2 increases. So the increases are coming out like in a shape like that. And you can probably, I don't know if you can see it, if I put my hand, yes, you can see it there. So it will be noticeable, but because I'm doing it, I'm not doing it willy-nilly, I'm doing it in quite a structured way. I think that will be quite acceptable. And it means that I've already added in, I think, 11 stitches. So I've only got a few more increase rounds to do. Still increasing here at the raglans as well, but these are extra increases. So at the moment I've got an 11 extra stitches, so I've got another 6 to add in. And hopefully that's going to give me enough room in my sleeve to be comfortable. Now the only other concern is, as this is a superwash wool, it will probably grow and stretch a bit. But you know what, it's a cardigan. I'll more than likely wear a long sleeve t-shirt or something underneath it. So if it turns out a little loose, and trust me, I never really have that problem, everything's always too tight. But if by some miracle it turned out a little loose, it won't really matter because it means I'll have room to wear something underneath it. I'm loving the yarn. It's really beautiful, and you can't really see it terribly well in this light. It's not a jet black, it's a charcoal, and it's got a bit of tone to it as well. So, and I'm not alternating skeins at this point. Once I get to the end of the increases for the sleeves, and then you just knit the body, you know, all in the one, I may start to do it. I don't know, because it's quite tonal anyway, and I don't know if you're really going to notice it. What I might do is, before I add the new skein in, just alternate skeins for the last half an inch or so, or the last inch before I add the new one in. I might do it that way. What do you think? I mean, if I get out the other skeins, they're all wound up. It doesn't look to be a great deal of difference in them. So I don't think it's going to be an issue. No matter what I do when I alternate skeins, and I've tried the helical method, I don't know, it's probably a tension thing with me. I can always still see it. Probably other people can't, but I see these little tugs going up in a helical fashion where you've changed yarns. With this one, I would probably change yarns here where you get the little garter stitch edge before the lace starts. I think that would be a good place to do it. But for now, I'm just going to keep going with this skein. Yeah, and I'll see. Once I get to where the sleeves go on to hold, I'll see then, see what I feel like doing at the time. But every time it's time to, and I knew this would happen, every time it comes time to knit on this, I love it. I just want tea done early, dishes cleaned up early, because I just want to sit down and knit on this. So I'm really, really enjoying it. So it's the Yorlin cardigan by Kate Davies, and the yarn is a fingering weight. It's actually, I think, a mixture of merino and nylon, so you could make socks out of it as well, by dyeing to knit yarns. I was going to show you the label, but I don't seem to have any in my bag at the moment. I've just done a big tidy up in, well, actually, if you could see this room right now, you'd say, tidy up, you're kidding me. But yesterday I went through all my stash, and I've still got stuff everywhere. So, yeah, I'll find the labels when I do the last bit of my tidy up, I'm sure. So I'm really enjoying that. And I'm looking forward to showing you the progress each time. So that's the sleeve bicep is the only modification I'm making, and I got this idea of putting the width, extra width in down here, because I know when I do dressmaking I have to make the sleeves wider, but you have to keep, with a set-in sleeve, you have to keep the sleeve cap. You can't change the size of that or it won't fit into the rest of the garment properly. So you sort of slit the pattern and widen it out from down here, which means the sleeve cap stays the same, but you have a wider measurement here, which is where I need it. So I thought I'll try and do a similar thing in knitting. So that's why I've started with one stitch here, and then I've done in two here, and then another two. So each row I add in 2 more stitches, or every 4th row I add in 2 more stitches, but I'm spacing them out so they're not all one after the other, you know, so they're not in a straight line. Once I've added the 17 stitches in, it's not going to interfere at all with the raglan shaping. So when I get to the end of the raglan shaping, I shall have a look and see if I need to still increase a little more. I don't want it tight under my arm, so I like it to come down a little bit. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of trial and error and trying on and seeing how it all goes, and I'll keep you posted on the way. But so far, fingers crossed, it all seems to be working out very nicely. So that's all my works in progress, and you may have guessed that I have 2 finished objects. The first one is my Hadrian's Cowl by Kay Jones. So this was a scrap buster, this one, although I didn't bust too many scraps, didn't use as much as I thought it would. So I've still got plenty of leftovers. But at least it's used some and I didn't have to buy anything. It's very thick and very warm, and this is how it looks. I'm so happy with how it turned out. So I'm going to put it on and show you in a minute. So I had all this navy and beige in my stash, and all these, I had quite a bit of those, and I've still got quite a bit of those. But this pale blue here, that's what I really wanted to use up, and I haven't even used half of that ball of what I had left. So that will definitely go into another project as well. You can see here's where the jog is, where the round has joined, but it's not that noticeable. This is very warm. This is Debbie Bliss Baby Cashmerino, and because of the colour work, it's a sport weight yarn, and because of the colour work it really has doubled the thickness. This is the other side, so you can see with all those floats I have got double thickness of yarn, so it's probably not going to get a lot of wear here in Perth. But you know, we go away in the caravan a lot, and we go away in winter, and it will get use then. And if we ever go back to the UK, we'll go in the cooler weather too, so it will be handy there. Now, one thing I would say is if I were doing this again, I would probably add in an extra pattern repeat, because I feel it's just a little too snug for my liking. I'll still wear it, and I'm going to put it on to show you what I mean. Okay, so you can see it is quite snug fitting, but it feels so warm. But I would just like it to not feel so much like a neck brace, you know what I mean. I am a bit of a tight knitter, so I should have thought to add extra in, but I'm really happy with how it looks. I'll have to put my glasses back on because I can't see a thing. Yeah, I'm really happy with how it's turned out. It's going to be absolutely warm and cozy, and yeah, when we're down south in the middle of winter and it's raining and cold and wet, it will be really nice to have this on. So I'm very happy with how it turned out. It was quite a quick knit, and it's a great way to get into colour work doing a project like this. I'm going to have to take this off because it's summer here and it's a bit warm, so just 2 seconds. Now my hair will be messed up. But so that's the Hadrian's Cowl. Now Kay designed this actually for her husband to knit because of his love of Hadrian's wool, and he's actually done a whole program of a series of programs on Hadrian's wool that you can go back and watch on the Bakery Bears podcast. So this is to represent the Roman floor tiles. This is the stonework, I think that section's called the wall, and I can't remember what this section was called. But yeah, isn't it gorgeous? So, you know, if you want a stash buster, go for a neck cowl. You can, the combinations and possibilities are endless, really, of what you can do with a few leftovers. So a great stash buster, and I shall be making more cowls, but I will just make them that little bit wider next time. And now for the pièce de résistance. My Wild Rose by Marie Wallin is finally finished, and I couldn't be happier. As you know, I didn't really enjoy the process of knitting it. And I don't know why. Maybe I just wasn't in the right frame of mind. And I think because I wasn't enjoying the knitting, I think that's why I made so many mistakes. The biggest modification I made was the pattern itself is a tunic. Well, I didn't want a tunic. I'm not the right body shape for a knitted tunic. So I think I started the colour work at, I think, the third band. So it's bands of colour work. I left off the bottom two to make it shorter, and it's turned out just right. I also decided to make it an A-line shape because my hip tummy area measurement is bigger than my bust measurement, so I didn't want it to be too grippy, and I'm really glad I did because it just fits. I'm actually really happy with it. Let me show you it first. I still haven't given that a steam. So you can probably see how it comes out at the hip area. So it's a real A-line shape. And same over on this side. It's got the corrugated rib, which I love. Now, I'm the world's slowest colourwork knitter, but I don't really care. I can't master two-handed colourwork, but does it matter? No, it doesn't. I just have them both in one hand and I just pick up and use whatever colour I need. And yes, it might be a bit slower, but I am so used to doing it that way that I think I'm actually quite fast at it. I feel I can control the yarn better that way. I can certainly control my floats well that way. And I'm absolutely delighted with it. Now, as you know, I had a mishap on one side. I don't know what I did, but this front bit was much wider than this back bit. I messed up my stitch count somehow. But I just eased it in as I sewed it, and really you can hardly tell. This was a good inch wider than the back. So I just eased it in a little as I sewed along with my trusty back stitch. And when it's on, you can't even tell. So I'm very happy with it. It was worth the effort. And I have taken some photos. Now, yeah, I've taken some photos and I'll show them here. And I actually think it doesn't look too bad. So that's the Wild Rose by Marie Wallin. It's using her own yarn, which is her British Breeds yarn. If you live here in Perth, you can get that from Calico and Ivy down in Cottesloe. Swanbourne, Cottesloe. You know where I mean. So that's it. I haven't got anything else. We went down to Denmark over New Year, which was lovely. I had stayed with our friends down there, but I didn't really take any photos. We had a lovely quiet Christmas and we've just been chilling out a bit. It's been a bit too warm to do very much. I've been doing lots of sewing. A lot of my stuff over at the shop was pretty well sold out after Christmas, so I'm going to be making some new aprons next week. I've just made a whole batch of monogrammed handkerchiefs, which are beautiful. And I'm going to be hopefully around March setting up an Etsy shop. And I will probably venture also into the world of knitting project bags. So if there's anything that you really like or dislike about project bags, let me know in the comments, because I would like to make the perfect, that's funny, isn't it? The perfect knitting project bag. I'm actually going to make bigger ones because I hate that most of the project bags you buy are not really suited for garment knitting. I want a bag where I can fit all the yarn and all the pieces of the garment as I knit it all in the one bag. So that's going to be my starting point, but that won't be till later in the year, and yeah, we'll see how it all goes. But that's it for today. It's a fairly short one. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I shall see you again hopefully in about, we're going down, I've got a couple of caravan holidays booked in, so I hopefully have some caravan holiday photos to show you the next time. We're going down to Augusta at the end of next week, or in 2 weeks, so that'll be a nice beach holiday with some friends and with my sister and her husband. So we're looking forward to that. It should be fun. So that's it. Oh, I keep forgetting things. One more thing I wanted to mention. A big shout out to a podcaster in the US. Her name is Shauna, and her podcast is called Shauna Stitches. Now, I really like watching Shauna because she's just down to earth. She's very natural, doesn't do much editing or anything. She doesn't get tongue-tied like me. She's much more professional. She's amazing. Her day job is a police officer. She's a police officer over there, and I think that speaks volumes in itself, because I think anyone to be a police officer anywhere in the world at the moment is a very brave person indeed. So I think that knitting is definitely her downtime. She does lovely projects. She does a lot of the West knit-alongs, which are always fun to watch her colour choices and everything take shape. And she's making her mission this year to finish up all her whips. So she's been doing a lot of socks at the start of this year, and they're really, really nice. So go and check her out. That is Shauna Stitches. And that's it for me for now. So cheerio till next time. Bye.